What's good with the YouTube? Y'all know Big Flacco with the Convicts Reaction, where I'm gonna smash, dash, and react. Please hit the like, subscribe, comment, do all those things to help support this channel, and hit that bell notification for future fire reactions. Now, I'm gonna be reacting to Blue Devil, Haters World, right? Where he had Bozo on, and some of the things that were being said, right? There may have been one reference to me, I'm not so sure, so it wasn't really clear who he was talking about on that, right? But let's get to it, man. So Bozo, he steps on. He's on there to promote his new album. I think it's called Southside Logo. Right? Had a pretty deep intro on it, right? The second song, though, right, which is actually the first song on the album, was basically for the other side. Mainly for, he's referring to like, Northerners, dropouts, and all these people who pretty much speak upon either Southside biz or doing business with the South or whatever it may be. It's just, he has an extra grind with the North, as we already know. So, I was fine with it. When you rap, you could take shots at stuff like that, man. That's the rap game. That's just how it is. You're not supposed to take it too personal, okay? But outside of the rap, they started to talk, and they were speaking on stuff, right? And I learned basically something really important that people are overlooking, okay? Bozo talked about being in Susanville, okay, on a yard where he said the Northerners, which they probably weren't too deep, were putting on their shirts. Now, he paroled in 2015. Now, I'm going to talk about this. Around the late 90s, early 90s, as they were building more prisons, and maybe late 80s, they built more prisons. It spread everybody thin everywhere, right? There was those that were getting sent to places that were not establishments for the Northerners, right? Jamestown, Lancaster, Tehachapi, Chino, whatever it may be, all these prisons that were down south. And sometimes Northerners would get sent there, and either they did what they were supposed to, try to establish it or get off, or they complied with the program the Southsiders were implementing, which was you couldn't walk in pairs, you had to keep your shirt on, you had to cut your Mongolian, all kinds of different things, right? I remember they had an issue with me on the yard where there was like 400 Southsiders, and I was told I had to cut my Mongolian. Oh, I took flight. I ended up catching a battery on that yard. What he said in 2013, 15, doesn't matter when, right, would never happen from an active Northerner or North Daniel. There's no way any active Northerners and North Daniels in the system during these time frames, right, would ever comply with the Southsiders dictating their program. By then, everybody's been educated, schooled, the bonds have been out there. No Northerners are really as blind as they were like the 80s and 90s, right, where people did do stuff like that. See, people used to hide behind the Bible or just hide in the shadows there and comply. And then when they get to another institution, sometimes it would be revealed. Sometimes it would be. Nowadays, you can't hide from shit like that. If you get to a yard and they're trying to oppress the people and dictate the program, a real Northerner or North Daniel is going to get off, okay? So this yard had to have had a lot of Southsiders and maybe a small nucleus of Northerners, right? Or these Northerners probably were the 50-50 yards that they had over there in Susanville at that time. Now, I'm going to tell you about the 50-50 candidates. They're different than the traditional SNY. They usually don't have much time left, right? And they're usually individuals that just want to go home and not really worry about the politics, okay? They're kind of almost like, I'm not going to say the weakest link, but in a sense they are a weak link because they're not there to politic. They're not worried about none of that shit but going home. So, there's no way that what he said would be valid with any active Northerner, period. Okay? You have 15, 20 Northerners, they're setting that shit off. Okay? This probably was a non-designated yard that Susanville had at that time, and he was probably programming on it. This is probably the dictates that he talks. He was pressing up on probably the weakest link, the weakest challenge that a Southsider could have is on a 50-50 yard. Now, he's not even supposed to be on that yard himself. But there's no way that any active Northerners were going to put on their fucking shirts. Those dudes would be PC, right? All bad. Shaloa, basura, trasotra, right? All that, okay? I'm one that did a lot of time, right? And I know the institutions around those time eras, right? What was good, what was bad, and what was being mandated, okay? I schooled a lot of homeboys, young Northerners, North Daniels. They know what time it is. They got the proper schooling. So for him to say that, it's either he's full of shit or he was on a non-designated yard, a 50-50 yard, programming, And there's nothing to be proud of pressing up on dudes that aren't even there to fucking get down. They're just dudes that want to go home. And there was a lot of people that were there at that time that were programming. The Southsiders actually did end up getting off with a lot of inactive Northerners on that yard during this time frame. This is the truth. He was over there boasting like he's actually punking some active Northerners, man. That did not happen. There's no way in hell. Now, don't get me wrong. There's dudes that fell in that category. A lot of times in the 90s, right? But these were mainly yards where there was no Northerners, and when they got there, the Southerners gave them the opportunity what they had to do if they wanted to program in that yard. If you went with the program, you were no good. So these dudes he's talking about who got punked on these yards, they're all basura, they're no good. Straight facts. And those 50-50 yards were basically privileged yards for Sudanos to go to. That's why it became an issue if any of them stood on that yard. A lot of Southsiders were getting dinged for being on 50-50 yards. Now, I got a lot of Northerners, active, inactive, that tap into my channel, right? You guys know what he said about that happening in 2015. There's no way those Northerners were active. Even some SMY Northerners would have fucking probably made an issue about it. But these guys were 50-50 trying to program and go home. How the hell 10 years in parole from level 2? I remember I did 5. I paroled with 100-something points. I started off on fucking level 3 points. You know what I mean? And it was level 4. And this was when I was in the shoe. If one's putting it down for their team, you would think that they'd be putting it down for their team. You get what I'm saying? Anyways, he pretty much opened up that door, though, saying this. And see, this tells me how much he knows about the dynamics of real Northern politics. He doesn't even know. He's already proven the past not to know shit, thinking that we're supposed to have a spokesperson for the people in the rap game or whatnot. Nah, that doesn't happen. Anyways, let's talk about the video, the recordings, okay? Now, he kind of brought it up. I don't know if he was directing it towards me because I think I was the one that says I really don't like the dude. I don't hate the man. I don't wish no fucking ill upon him or his family, you know what I mean? He has a family, he has kids. Why am I going to wish any fucking bad upon him, right? But I just don't like him. I don't like how he's acted towards the North. I think it's been uncalled for. I don't think there's nothing that stamp certifies him on any level of being on a high level, especially prone from level 2, 50-50 yard. Okay, let's get that out there. I've been around dudes that every one of them had more rank and status based upon where we were at. You know what I'm saying? I was in the validated blocks with all his big homies and whatnot. I did time with a lot of the camaradas, right? I had relationships with those dudes. I drank with those dudes on my birthday. You know what I'm saying? I know how the respect is supposed to be shown. He doesn't get it yet on a level 2. You know what I mean? But so when I get that audio recording, it was a link to another channel, and I'm like, fuck it. Like, I might as well react to it because, number one, it's going to get views. That's why I'm going to react to it. I never ever once said that it was fucking true or any of that shit. I said, it sounds like him. It could be him. I don't know. I doubt it, but maybe it could. That was the whole fucking thing that I did. And you know what? It was for views. Why not? Someone else is going to drop that. Since I got it, I might as well be the first. Right? And that's what I did. But never once did I sit there and deliberately say that this is true or anything. I don't believe it was AI. I believe it was cut up, if anything. You know what I'm saying? But I never sat there and put a jacket on him. I never sat there and told anybody to do this or do that. You know what I'm saying? I kept it 100. Even when there was actually lies being put out there about me making the video or me doing this with the video and taking it down, I never even took the motherfucker down. I even told that dude that posted that video saying I took it down, and he still left his video up. People sometimes don't care. They're all about the views. I'm no different when it comes to some of this reaction stuff, right? And let's just keep it 100. His actions at that time and the things that he has said against the North, I'm from the North. Whether I gangbang now or active or whatnot, I'm still from where I'm from, okay? I don't forget my teachings. I don't forget a lot of homeboys I left behind, okay? And for him to sit there and make the remarks he made on American Cholo and then some other podcasts and whatnot, he's out of line. He shouldn't even be speaking on the politics and whatnot. If he wants to boost his blue team, then go ahead. That's fine. If you're really about the unification and making change there, then go make it there, because apparently there's issues amongst rappers, podcasters, and whatnot from down south every other week. Don't worry about what's going on up north then, you know? And as that continues to happen down there, we're going to continue to make content on it. People like it, and it's fun to react to. It's funny when people say, well, that's in there. You know what I mean? That happens in there. Well, in there, aren't you supposed to be the realest as they come? If you're in prison Isn't that where you stand on business? Anybody, right? On their beliefs. You can't act a certain way, know how to conduct yourself. You come out here, you should be conduct yourself even more professional. I get it. The rap game's about clout, and maybe his hate isn't as fucking much as he has for the North, and he's just doing it for clout. You know what I mean? It's just funny that one of the ones that's the least involved in any type of North Indian activities, which is Gotos, you choose to attack. Gotos is a businessman. He doesn't forget where he's from, but he ain't pushing no line but music. Maybe you need to listen a little bit better. Nowadays, I wonder, man, are these rappers, are they just rappers and family men, just musicians, or are they rappers and gangsters? Because if you're a gangster, you're going to be with the functions, and you're not going to be out there in the streets that long. And that's the truth of it. We all know it. We're on borrowed time when we really with the activities. And that's the truth. Like I said, the rest of the interview, it's whatever. You know what I mean? I tap in because I like to see how people, get basically the incentive to push different lines when someone else pushes that line. I like to see the true character that's masked behind the words by their actions. People change up all the time, man. It's easy to use that word buster, scrap, and this when nobody's around each other. You know what I'm saying? It's a whole different element when you're face to face and you ain't got 100 homeboys right there to back your play. When you're not in your backyard, that's when you know where a man truly stands, right? And so far, ain't nothing been proven. Anyways, this is my quick reaction, man. Like I said, man, as much dislike as I may have for certain people, it doesn't mean I'm gonna have any type of hate unless you've done harm to me. You know what I'm saying? But when you make such, ridiculous remarks, and when you use the word bitch as well, right? If you ain't gonna go meet that person face to face, then you shouldn't even be using those type of words. You know what I'm saying? And that's the truth. You use that word, go handle your business. Go see that person. Otherwise, who's looking like a bitch? Who's looking like a weenie? Those are facts. I'm out.